What's up guys, it's me Jeremy, and tons of people have requested to hear my thoughts on the new AD carry items, and since the changes were pretty drastic, it's worth taking a look at. Let's get started. There's 5 made items that got changed significantly or added into the game: Dorrans Blade, Essence Reaver, Bloodthirster, Blade of the Rune King, and Infinity Edge. Let's start with Dorrans. Now Dorrans got a slight change. Although the AD and health went down, they changed the life on hit to lifesteal, which is a significant late game buff to Dorrans since lifesteal scales very well with your other AD items. The early game sustain for melee champions was hurt a bit, but overall Dorrans is still the go-to starting item for the AD carries since its stats are just way too efficient. Now, Essence Reaver, and I'm sorry to say, but this item is total garbage. And the reason why is because it's so different from the other AD items. The goal of an overall AD build is to have the stats scale multiplicatively with each other so that your whole build combined builds up into this massive force. But Essence Reaver does not do that. The AD on this item scales poorly for such a big investment, as a BF sword will give you the exact same amount of AD, while CDR and the mana regen passive are just things that an AD carry does not and should not itemize for. The only saving grace is lifesteal, but that doesn't give you damage, but you can forego it anyways because of the Dorrans changes. This item should never ever be built on AD carries, and it's still not really viable on other champions as well. It does have confirmed buffs on the PBE though, and even still, it's much better on someone who can use the CDR and mana much more efficiently, like Jace. And as for Bloodthirster, the item is pretty much garbage as well. This is evident by the confirmed buffs for the item on the PBE too, but overall the shield is really just useless and very unreliable, making the rest of the stats a poor itemization choice, as it's not going to scale well with your other items. Bloodthirster will make you very weak late game compared to someone who goes Infinity Edge if you build it as a first item. However, the buffs that are going to give it bonus AD are going to make BT a very viable 4th item choice to help you upscale your overall build, but since those buffs haven't hit live yet, this item is still a very poor choice right now. Blade of the Rune King as well also got nerfed unfortunately. Due to the active and lifesteal nerfs, this is no longer an immediate pickup on champions that went Bork in the past. It's still a good item as the nerfs were somewhat minor, and although the current health damage passive was buffed, that is only really good versus heavy HP stacking opponents, since it is current health and not maximum health. So only pick up Blade now versus opponents stacking HP, as the overall strength of the item is a lot weaker, except in that situation versus health stacking opponents. And also it is kind of worth mentioning Yomu since the passive overall did get buffed for ranged champions, so that is actually a viable pickup for AD carries right now. And lastly, we have the only item that clearly got buffed, Infinity Edge. Although the 1080 buff was kind of small, the main buff to Infinity Edge is the fact that all of the other items got nerfed. Unfortunately, Infinity Edge is kind of weak by itself, so AD carries now hit a power spike after 2 items instead of just their first item, but Infinity Edge is definitely the standard go-to item now, other than Triforce on some champions, which was unchanged. The crit chance in passive allows you to do tons of damage to tanks, and since Infinity Edge now is the main item choice, AD carries have a significantly stronger late game and can carry much harder, but at the cost of a nerf to their early game. Overall, I personally like the changes since it makes AD carries carry a lot harder since Infinity Edge scales incredibly well with other AD items, as well as those champions that focus more on auto attacking who don't suffer from having to go Infinity Edge got a lot stronger this patch. And another thing worth mentioning is due to the Randuin's nerfs that removed the slow as well as nerfing the attack speed slow, that is a huge buff to AD carries, as Randuin's is a fairly weak item right now, so tanks will not be nearly as tanky as before as well, overall just making AD carries late games much stronger. My name is Jeremy, and that's it for my video on the new AD carry items. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out some of my others on the screen right now, or stay connected at facebook.com/gamingcurios. And also I stream with some awesome commentary over at twitch.tv/Jeremy_gamingcurios, so be sure to check that out too. Drop a like and make sure to subscribe for some more awesome content in the future, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.